So Tom, episode of the podcast here.
You're going to say number. What episode number?
I don't know what number we're at. We must be on the 60s or 70s or something.
Yeah. Go on.
Episode... So Tom, we're here this week's podcast. We're in Ibiza in the Bubble Club, and a lovely venue. We're obviously a bit unfortunate with the weather today. We've been fortunate with the weather up till this point with the holiday, and just as I'm sure all our audience want to know, it's raining where we are right now, as usual. But in this episode, let's talk about the holiday, the struggles that the players had coming into it, what we've done to help them to improve their games, how we've worked on that, both the technique and tactics. Let's also discuss a question that came in around the World Cup, like what is the World Cup and how does that affect the pairs that, you know, particularly at the top end, they might make their selections from the Spanish and Argentinian teams. And update on what's going on with the paddle school.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's get into it.
So, well, how's the day been? How's the holiday been for you?
Holiday's been awesome. It's been, like you say, the weather's been glorious. So as we're leaving today, this is our last day here. The last few days we've had the paddle holiday and the sun's been out. The training's been great. Yeah. No, it's really, really good because we get players for a period of time and we can really see the difference from their level at the start of the holiday to the end. And I think that's the most rewarding thing, I think, as a coach, is to see that progression and to see, for me, the understanding from the players of what they're trying to do on the court, the tactics, their understanding of court position. Because when the players first came on the holiday, most of them felt like they really needed to work on their tactical side of the game. So we went through at the start of the holiday, we just asked them, you know, what do they need to improve? What's the biggest thing that they think is something that they want to improve in these few days? And court position and tactics came up a lot. So it was really great to see that improvement.
It's difficult as a coach, generally, I think, because often you get a player and you'll do a really good session, and whether it's an individual, group, whatever, and then they go away and they play 45 times with their friends in recreational games, and they come back almost with, if not the same bad habits, other bad habits, because the ratio of coaching to gameplay is, you know, lessons is so low in that ratio. And this is great because over the 3.5-4 days there is match play. So we did an Americano tournament with the club, which is great, but it's, you know, it's so focused, all of it, isn't it? You know, we theme each of the sessions, we're focusing there with them each time. There's not really the opportunity to get into bad habits because there's 3 coaches on this trip. There were 16 players, so there was a good ratio of coach to player, and we were able to really kind of keep an eye, I suppose, or focus on those tactics. And a lot of it, we did a match analysis on 2 of the days where we record their games, we play them back to them with us analysing, you know, on a screen, and it's a really good way to illustrate court position. I mean, I know we do this a lot with our members on the platform. They send in their videos, we give that feedback, technique and tactics, but it's a great way to highlight court position, the tactics, what they should be trying to do, almost the intention on each shot, which I think is something that a lot of players of all levels are so focused on the ball, and once they've hit the ball, they're so keyed into what they're doing and not so, you know, looking at the broader picture or looking at the game situation and focusing on tactically what they should be trying to do. So I think the match analysis really helped that, and I'd say that's probably the number one thing that's come away from this holiday is players at the end of the holiday, you watch them play now and they have a really, I would say, good understanding of where they should be on the court, where they should be playing the ball, and how they should be moving to that next position. And I'm really glad that has occurred over these 3 days.
It's that classic case, isn't it? Until you see yourself on video, you think you're doing one thing, and then you look back on the video and you can't quite believe that's what's happening. But I do think that the analysis we do and the point analysis, and every morning when we can, we do match analysis with each of the players to show them the different matches and to show them, you know, the different court positions where they should be standing. I do think that having both the on-court stuff and the analysis alongside makes a massive difference, and I'm really glad that we're doing that on these trips.
And really, the way we set it up is we focus on the technique. So we'll have a theme, and the 2-hour session in the morning, 2-hour session in the afternoon, we'll each have a theme, and we focus on technique, and then we try and bring that into the game. And we covered everything in terms of technique, and that's another nice thing about this period of time. Often we do a back glass clinic somewhere and we only do back glass, but here, for example, we're able to go right the way through the game, and it's almost like a jigsaw, isn't it? Putting the pieces together, explaining how it works in a game, and watching them put it into practice. So I think a lot of the games have been transformed over these few days.
And what a spot to do it in, at the Bubble Club in Ibiza. Lovely courts here, the bar is really, really nice. I mean, it's such an amazing club, and I know they're going to be continuing to build at this club and to create more awesome courts and different facilities here. So yeah, it's just awesome to be here, and hopefully we'll be back here soon.
Definitely, it was our first trip here, wasn't it? So it's always one you're not quite sure, but the hotel was down the road. The hotel was great. The food in the hotel was excellent, and you just walk up to the club, you do your training, walk back to the hotel. It's not too far from the airport. It was a very, I would say, convenient, like location-wise for all of this. And I know we're on a wet day today, but it has been, I mean, it's been really nice, hasn't it? Training in the sun. Can't beat it.
We timed it with the opening party weekend of Ibiza, didn't we?
I thought you were saying timed it with our podcast.
little did we know, though, that the opening weekend in Ibiza was this weekend. I'd never been to Ibiza, so it was interesting to see the before the party weekend and the after. It was interesting.
Yeah, that was definitely unintentional, wasn't it? But I'm sure some of our guests or players enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, right? You get on the court, you work hard, you train hard, but then you've got other stuff off court. You've got, there's some bars to go to, some restaurants. It's a really nice balance here, and I'm really looking forward to coming back to Ibiza.
And we played a nice exhibition, actually, didn't we, with the local coaches? That was good, and I quite like doing that towards the end of the holiday, because it's almost like we try and highlight and put into practice what we're teaching the players. Many of these tactics, like serving, like low into the glass and then first volley low down the middle, and we try and play sensible paddle, right? But that's what we're teaching as well.
Yeah. Well, I did notice you were playing very textbook sensible paddle for everyone, so they can see all the themes that are coming out.
That's just me, though. That's just me. That's how I play.
Standard.
I don't do a lot of running. I tend to leave that for you. But when I do touch the ball, it's with purpose.
Oh well, appreciate you letting me do the running. Yeah.
Yeah. So for us now, what's on the horizon? We've just finished our lob challenge month.
Yeah.
So all of our course material for the lob is complete. By the time this podcast comes out, we will be in the defending the back challenge for our players. So putting that course material up, giving the challenges, and that will be around back glass, side glass, double glass, and there'll be some technical advice on how to play with that back glass, how to play with that side glass, and then the double glass. And actually, that was one thing, wasn't it, this week, that we spent a bit of time on the back glass and getting that right, because it makes all of the other shots in the corner, easier to play if you can prepare early. You can get behind the ball, you contact in front. Those are key, aren't they, to playing all of those shots. And then tactically defending from the back. And that's something, if I was to start my paddle career all over again from tennis, but it's the same for anyone, it would be defending, like getting really comfortable defending. Because then I'm not in a rush. Like when you start, you think, right, I'm going to rush to net, and partly because the name of the game is to get the net and to win the point, but also partly because I do not want to be in that back corner. That ball goes in that glass. I don't know where it's going. I have no confidence, and then you run in. And I think that's one thing that I would really focus on or change if I was starting now, is just getting comfortable defending at the back, so that I could come to the front, to the net position in my own time.
It's all about confidence, isn't it? Like you said, I think it's building confidence, and we saw that over the few days. The more drills we did, the exercises we did, you just see that the players are starting to build that confidence, and that's what that member challenge is all about. I think it's building that confidence in your defence, but also, like you said, the mentality, the tactics. And on the padelschool.com, you can check out those member challenges. It's transforming every aspect of your game in 30 days. So every month we pick a theme and we transform your game in that time. And I think yeah, it's all about confidence, and that was the theme that really came out, wasn't it, in the trip? That, you know, if you can build confidence at the back, you're in less of a rush, and you can actually, you know, not have to rush to net and get caught in this idea of, you know, rushing. Just take your time, stay at the back, defend, and, you know, when the opportunity is there, then you come to net.
Yeah, and a lot of players say, how do we beat these tennis players or these people that hit really fast or hard into the corners? And the way is to use the glass. Because once the ball hits the glass, it slows down, gives you a bit of time, and if it hits 2 glasses, it slows down more. And once you know where it's going from those rebounds, actually, it gives you time. It makes it easier to defend. And so, and that's not going to come overnight, is it? It's not something that you can say, right, I'm going to defend really well from the back, and suddenly the next day you're playing like a pro in that back glass. It's repetition. It's building up that repetition. And we've said to all of our players from here is like, right, now you go back to your club and you play with your friends, use the glass, keep focusing on the things that we've done here, the trainings that we've done, and little by little you will raise your game. And so it's interesting you talk about the mentality of it as well, because that is such a key part, isn't it, of being patient. We say it all the time, and we say, oh, it's, you know, it's very easy to say be patient in the game, but much more difficult to do. And so you know, that mentality of being comfortable with being uncomfortable, I suppose, in that back.
I was literally just about to say that, and that's one thing when you get on the training court and you're in a training environment, you almost accept, you know, for these next hour, I'm gonna be uncomfortable because this is training, but you have to try and take that onto the match court and feel like, actually, I am gonna keep using the glass, and I'm not gonna revert back to what's within my comfort zone, because now we're in a game situation and I just want to win. It's being more comfortable in an uncomfortable environment.
Yeah, and one of the challenges that is coming up in this month is I say this almost every single clinic, is when the ball goes past the service line, you're not allowed to volley, and just implement that in your game, and I think that makes it really, you know, you in a way are then forced to get comfortable, and it happens. I don't want to say it happens quickly, but it happens, you know, in surprisingly fast. I would say that you do get comfortable. It might only be 5 or 6 sessions that you actually start feeling more comfortable with the glass. It's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the World Championships? The question that came in was, how does the World Championship affect player partner selection? So, for example, you know, we got Paquito and LeBron, who are now playing together, and Paquito and LeBron have played several times for Spain. And the question was, do players use the World Championship as a way to practice with their potential next partners? And you know, is that how they select? Basically, was the question. And I think it's interesting. I think the World Championships, we're now talking about Spain and Argentina, right? Because that's, you know, those are the top however many, 40, 50, 60 players. And the World Championships, just to give a quick summary on how that works, is it's run by the FIP. So the FIP is the International Padel Federation, and every country that registers with the FIP can enter the World Championship. So Great Britain have registered with the FIP, and therefore we enter a team in the World Championships. And there is a qualifying that takes place. So you have the top 16 teams. At the moment, that may change. I think they might do it where they allow more teams to enter and they do the qualifying there and then. But each region will have a European qualifying, there'll be an Americas qualifying, and so many teams will go from that qualifying to the World Championships. And it varies, the number of spaces depends on the number of countries. Like Europe, for example, there's lots and lots of countries, but you might find, you know, Asia Pacific area, for example, has less spots. And so then you get 16 teams in that World Championships, and they're all separated into 4 groups of 4. And they will be picked out, they'll be seeded from the previous World Championships. You often have Spain and Argentina at the top, and then you'll have Brazil, France, Italy. Like, these are the kind of stronger teams. Sweden doing really well as well. And they will be seeded and then just picked randomly in those 4 groups. And then you have the first 3 days of the World Championships where you play those groups. So you play everyone in that group, and then that will place you from 16 to 12. 16 to 9 initially, and then the top 1 to 8 there on the next day, and you'll play that round through, and then you'll go. And so in the end, everyone is separated from first place to 16th place, basically. And the top, this changes, but the top, I think it's 9 or 10, then immediately qualify for the next year, and then 11 through 16 or whatever that number is, then we'll go into the qualifying for the next year. And that's basically how the World Championship works. And so every country picks their top team. So you pick 8 players, and each match. So if for example, Great Britain are playing Spain, there would be a first pair, a second pair, and a third pair, and each team is allowed 8 players. So you'll have 2 reserve players that you can bring in during the week, whether it's injury or performance or whatever it might be. And so, and because Spain and Argentina are so strong and they compete like quite heavily in the final, I mean, there's some really, really good games in the final. Both Spain and Argentina put forward their best 8 players, and so this is a time when you might see couples that, like for example, Galan and Chingotto. Chingotto plays for Argentina, Galan plays for Spain, so they don't play with each other in the World Championships, and they play as their pairs to try and beat the opponents. Some do, like Stupa and Dineno, for example, they're both Argentinian, they play for the Argentinian team, but a lot of the time this is an opportunity for different pros to play with each other. Like, you see Paquito and LeBron play. Juan Martin has played with Paquito quite a lot, and you do see them play with each other in the World Padel Tours, or the Premier now, should I say. But I find that because that group of players have been together at the top of the sport for really the better part of the last 10 years, they all know each other really well anyway. I mean, they are essentially a group of friends. So while the World Championship is a time for them to play together, I don't think it is something that it seriously impacts the way that you might select a partner.
Gives them a chance to play with other players. I think it's interesting how do you think the mentality is different from tournaments that you play on the circuit to now you're in a team competition? Because we see it with lots of different sports, right? Tennis, you have Davis Cup. Players perform very differently in those environments. So I suppose you have to take that into consideration when pairs pair up. Perhaps they play really, really well together, but perhaps it doesn't necessarily mean they'll play as well together on the circuit.
Yeah, and to be honest, this has been a struggle for like Great Britain, for example, where our players have not had a chance to play with each other before the championships. So we get there and we spend the first few days trying to get used to playing with a partner that we haven't played a lot with before. That's changing slightly, but there countries now, particularly the top 16, are playing more and more with each other. So that's something that the Spanish, those guys play a lot together or have done over the years. But the mentality definitely does change in that, you're a team anyway as a doubles pair on the court, which is nice, but you're now a team of 8 and you've got your coach and 6 players supporting you as a pair. So I really like it. It reminds me a lot of my college days where you play as a team. Those are my fondest tennis memories, really, is playing as part of a team instead of individual. You know what it was like travelling on your own all the time to these tournaments. It's tough. So as a mentality now, you're doing that as a team. And I think Spain can probably relax a little bit in their first few days of the World Championship. They've got such a strong team. They don't need to play all of their best players. But for the likes of Great Britain, we need to be, like that first day, we need to be playing our best performance if we want to finish high in that, 1 to 16.
Let's talk about that cohort of countries that are in the middle. So we know that Spain and Argentina are at the top. That next cohort, how important do you think training for those players? And like you say, for example, Great Britain, the players don't play that much together before the World Championships, which is a disadvantage, really. So a lot of other countries, like the Netherlands and Belgium, they're now putting on training camps for their players. A lot of their players are training together. There's a structure that is coming, or it's actually been there for quite a long time now. They're investing a lot of time, a lot of money into that in preparation for the Europeans and the Worlds. For those lower to mid countries to make that step up, now we know that Spain and Argentina are at the top, but for those countries, other countries to keep stepping up that ladder, what needs to be done in those countries to facilitate that for all the players to start raising their level to get, really competing with those better countries?
It's a difficult question, really, because it's building momentum, I think, within that country. If you look now, there are countries that have really improved. You've almost got Spain and Argentina at the top. They've had the game for so long, their level is so high. And then below that, you've really got your Brazil, Portugal, Italy, France, Sweden. They're I would say, your next cohort of countries, and they're really strong. I mean, they've got lots of courts in their country. They've got lots of good facilities. They've got lots of good players now. And initially, the players have gone to Spain to improve their level, maybe. But now they're in their country and they're training in their country. And that next group, really, of like you say, Belgium, Netherlands, Paraguay, Uruguay, like they're also in that there. Chile are good, and we are trying to stay in the mix there. And it's now they're just building momentum. I think number of courts, number of players, but also training as a group in the country. And we talked about this on a previous podcast, this idea of going and doing a training camp for 3 days is great for the team players. It's nice, you get to play a bit in the sun, etc. But I think the real work takes place in the country. Like Great Britain, for example, we've got lots and lots of good tennis players, particularly good junior tennis players, and a lot of those don't make a transition to pro, men's or women's, at this stage. And so it's almost getting a large funnel of good, and I'm saying tennis, but it's squash as well, or other racket sports, or even athletes in general, getting them into a funnel for training performance. We don't have enough courts in the UK, and we don't have enough trainers, we don't have enough of these facilities, and we're not probably doing enough to bring on in large numbers those players.
The problem, I guess, is time, though, right? Because those countries that are doing that and helping ex-professional tennis players convert, and they've started on that journey, it's really difficult for a country then to catch up. You can't fast forward and suddenly fast track players, can you? So those countries that aren't doing this now essentially are going to be left behind if those other countries are investing in it, and they're going to get ahead of us. Definitely.
And you look at Sweden, like Sweden now is up there in that group, and like Portugal, well, like the groups I named, the countries I named, they've been pushing really consistently for the last 7 or 8 years to get to there, and there's still a gap between Spain and Argentina and them, right? And I think there probably will be a gap for probably another 8 to 10 years. Like, you've got to think that in Spain, I mean, you've seen it, the junior academies, the numbers of players going into these junior academies that are coming through, it's such a big sport in those countries. To catch that is going to be very difficult. And then, like you say, that middle range, Belgium and Netherlands are doing a great job. They really are catching. You're seeing the level is going up there. But yeah, if you aren't pushing for it now, then you will get left behind.
And we've got European Championships coming up very soon. The GB team will be selected probably in the next few weeks, so that'll be interesting to see the teams there. And yeah, it will be interesting to see how all the teams get on in that championships.
Yeah, definitely. And it's partly the FIP didn't hold a World Championships last year through organisation, really, if we're being honest. And so this year you've got European Championships and the World Championships. So in a way, that European Championships is quite good. It's almost like I don't want to say it's a warm-up tournament. It's still important, but it's a way for the team all to play together and to get some good matches under their belt before the Worlds.
Let's chat about what's coming up for us then in the next week or so. We've got a paddle holiday in Portugal at the campus. It's with the Fem Open, so a female community that we work with a lot. We really like the community. They're doing so much for female paddle communities all across the world. So we're really looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun trip. And what else have we got going on?
Before that, we've got that Padel Aid Day. So we're going to do a Padel Aid Day with the celebrities, a charity paddle event in the UK. So we're going to do that. We're going to do some filming with Red Bull, which will be nice for an upcoming series for them and their production, because obviously now they partner with Premier. And
well, should we talk about Red Bull a bit more?
Yeah, we can talk about Red Bull. So for the Masters events now, I'm going to be the in-studio expert, I suppose, that will be breaking down the matches. So I'll go for the Master events of Rome, Paris. There's one in Mexico, and then end of year Barcelona. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's great, and I think it's so good that Red Bull are partnered with Premier. So that's going to be good fun, exciting, and an excuse to watch high level of paddle.
Well, we've been doing match analysis this week for our improver group, and now you'll be doing the same for the pros as well.
I'm sure the level's the same.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what it's like to watch it live, first of all, but then to be involved in something like that as well. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
so
stay tuned. Stay tuned for when is that first one? Did you say in Rome?
In Rome, end of June, I think. So we'll do something nearer the time, and we'll talk about it a bit more nearer the time. But really looking forward to that. That's going to be good. And then after that, so we got the FEM holiday to Portugal, and then the end of May, I'll be going to Florida, and you'll be doing the Tenerife holiday.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. We've got quite a few trips coming up, so we're going to be working with lots of different players, lots of different nationalities, all coming to train with us. It's going to be a similar setup to the one we had here in Ibiza, so really looking forward to Tenerife. Never been there before, but I've heard it's an amazing place to be, and probably one of the best places for paddle as well.
Yeah, and I mean, these groups are such fun, aren't they? Like for us as coaches, but also for the players. It's a time that everyone is positive. You come together and work on your paddle. And I think if you are a player or you have a group at your club and you'd be interested in doing these holidays, improving your level, improving the level of your groups, then it's definitely worth getting in touch with us.
Yeah.
Through the paddleschool.com, you can contact us through there or through our socials, because if you are a group that wants to have fun and learn on court and do one of these holidays, we would love to be a part of that and facilitate that, really, I think.
Yeah, and Sandy, it's always a pleasure to do these podcasts with you, no matter where it is in the world. Don't know where the next one will be. It'll be a bit of a mystery. But Sandy, it's always a pleasure to catch up and talk about what's going on with the paddle school.
Yeah, definitely. We have to wait and see for that location. But if you've got any questions that you would like us to discuss in these, please put it down in the comments. If you're listening to this, please don't forget to review. It helps us a lot, doesn't it? Those reviews on whether it's Apple or Google or wherever you listen to your podcast. So, Tom, look forward to chatting on the next one.